It's the 3rd-ranked Lady Monarchs of Old Dominion University against the 7th-ranked Lady Knights of Rutgers University. Hello again, everyone. I'm Lou Brogno, along with my colleague Roger Cohen. And Roger, what can you say? Just everything is made up to be a super matchup.
We have been very fortunate the last 2 games we've done, Lou, to have the Rutgers Lady Knights play 2 of the top teams in the country when it comes to women's basketball. Rutgers, fortunately, a couple of weeks ago, defeated a very young but very talented Tennessee team. In this ball game against Old Dominion, now ranked 3rd. When we did the Tennessee game, Rutgers was ranked 3rd. Rutgers has since, after losing to Maryland, fallen to 7th. Now the Lady Monarchs of Old Dominion are ranked number 3, and they have 2 of the hottest female basketball talents in the United States. One of them, a homegrown New Jerseyan from Ridgewood, New Jersey, played her high school ball at Paramus Catholic. Ann Donovan, she's only 6'8". Yeah, she's a big lady, she really is. And there's a sophomore, 6'5", Janet Davis, and they call them the Twin Towers. And I think seeing them on the floor for the first time, Rutgers with Terry Dorner, the tallest Lady Knight on the floor at 6'2", and with June Olkowski very, very questionable at this point. We think she may play, but we don't think if she does play, she'll be very effective. Rutgers, as we said, against Tennessee, has its work cut out for it. I don't know whether they'll be as successful in this ball game.
I think Rutgers certainly missed June Olkowski in the loss against Maryland. They missed her leadership, her experience, and the Lady Terps just did it to the Lady Knights, beat them by 3 points, a tough loss. Rutgers then came back and really crushed Queens College last Tuesday night. Not much of a contest there. So it's been an interesting week for the Lady Knights. The Lady Monarchs have won 8 in a row. They have a record of 16-4. And of course, within those last 8 victories, one of them against Louisiana Tech, the #1 team in the nation. And that, of course, broke the Lady Techsters' 54-game winning streak.
Well, there was a stretch, I guess about 9 or 10 games ago, when the Lady Monarchs had their problems. They lost 3 out of 4 games, 3 of the 4 games that they have lost. And one of the things they did was switch offensive positions for their Twin Towers. 6'8" Ann Donovan had been playing at a low post position. They moved her up near the foul line, and they moved 6'5" Janet Davis down low. Davis is very, very tough inside. Ann Donovan is good inside, as her 6'8" height certainly attests to, but she also has a very, very good touch for a big person. And she is good from 10 to 15 feet out. So while Donovan's point production has suffered somewhat since she moved to the high post, the overall point production for the team has improved, and as you mentioned before, Old Dominion has won its last 8 ball games.
Not only is this a big rivalry because both teams are in the top 10, there you get a look at June Olkowski's knee, and of course she injured that in the Tennessee game, which was on Channel 6 a couple of weeks ago. The point I was going to make, Roger, is not only is this a big rivalry because both teams are in the top 10, it's also a big rivalry because both coaches played together at Immaculata College when Immaculata was a powerhouse.
To say Teresa Shank-Rentz at Rutgers hasn't done well would certainly be to understate it. She's done very, very well here. But Marianne Stanley, her counterpart at Immaculata, Marianne was a guard there when Teresa was a center, and they won 2 national championships together. Well, Old Dominion won national championships with Nancy Lieberman and Ing Nessen in 1979 and 1980. Last year they finished 3rd. She has had marvelous success in the 5 years or so that she's been down with Old Dominion. It should be, I hope, from Rutgers' sake, it will be a very, very good ball game. I mentioned when we did the Tennessee game, it is probably the best I've seen Rutgers play this year against any team. I did not see the UCLA game. They played exceptionally well against Tennessee. I think they're going to have to surpass that effort in this game against Old Dominion if they even want to stay in the ball game, because I think Ann Donovan at 6'8" and Janet Davis at 6'5" just could prove to be too much. I hate to be negative, but those are pretty imposing inches to have to deal with underneath for 6'2" Terry Dorner. And after that, without Olkowski, Rutgers doesn't have anybody over 6 feet.
It's interesting, you mentioned the Tennessee game. In that game against the Lady Vols, Tennessee was a very good rebounding team and looked like they could wipe up the Lady Knights underneath the boards, but Rutgers held their own, did a very good job underneath the hoop. They're going to have to do the same thing tonight against Old Dominion. Old Dominion with a powerful front line that really pulls down the basketball from the boards, and Rutgers is going to have to play, as you mentioned, the same way that they played against Tennessee to even come close.
Well, looking basically at the rebounding statistics, and it was very similar to what Tennessee had. Tennessee had been out rebounding its opponents by an average of 9 a game. ODU has been out rebounding its opponents 46.4 to 35.3, so there you have 11 rebounds a game. Rutgers still is suffering a little bit under the boards. It is not leading its opponents per game rebounding average. Rutgers has been pulling down 37.2, while opponents have been pulling down just under 40. Again, Rutgers came through very, very nicely, played a very smart basketball game against Tennessee. Don't forget, Tennessee was a very, very young club. Rutgers played a very good tactical game, very smart, very much a finesse game. With Ann Donovan, a senior at 6'8", and Janet Davis, apparently a very savvy 6'5", it just may be a little bit different. We're also going to be looking for we have to expect from Rutgers, if Rutgers wants to be in this ball game, excellent outside shooting from people like Patty Delahanty, who is only 10 points away from her 1,000-point mark at college. And, Patty Delahanty is 10 points away, and we have Patty Coyle, who is 19 points away. Both of these folks are going to have to be shooting very, very well from the outside if Rutgers wants to stay in this ball game.
All right, 5 seconds until the buzzer sounds, and just about ready for the opening tip-off and also the starting lineups. And let's get ready for that right now. You see the Old Dominion Club right there. Lady Monarchs in the blue uniforms, the Lady Knights, of course, in the home white. Here's something very interesting. Lady Monarchs have left the court as the Lady Knights go over to their bench, and we'll get ready to stand for our national anthem. Today from the Rutgers Athletic Center in Piscataway, the Lady Knights embark on their chance for a national title as they take on the Lady Owls from Temple University in the first round of the EAIAW tournament. Hello again, everyone. I'm Lou Brogno along with Roger Cohen. And Roger, two teams that just met each other 2 weeks ago.
It was not that long ago, and it was a ball game that Rutgers won and did not play that well. And Kathy Canning has some more information on that game down on the floor. Kathy?
Temple only 2 weeks ago, and they came up a winner. They beat Temple by 14 points, but don't let that score deceive you. Temple's a very good team and a very physical team. I think in order for Rutgers to win, Terry Dorner has to have a good game. And in order for Temple to win, Roxanne Asbury has to have a good game. But if both these women are on top of their games today, we are going to have quite a contest. Now back to Roger and Lou.
Thank you, Kathy. And Roger, Kathy's been right on the mark. You remember last week against Pittsburgh, she called it right for the second half. So we have to listen to what she says.
Well, Terry Dorner's been playing good basketball for Rutgers throughout the season. Terry's the leading scorer on this club, close to 19 points a ball game, better than 10 rebounds a game. Roxanne Asbury's been averaging about 8 points a ball game, but she had 13 against Rutgers last time out, I believe. This is a club that shoots a lot, an awful lot, and they've played 2 more games than Rutgers have, and yet they've shot the ball 250 more times. We've been told to expect a run-and-gun game from Temple, and that's what we're going to expect.
It's also a team that doesn't shoot very well, only shoots 40% from the field, and that could be a key factor in this game, although Rutgers did not shoot well the first time against Temple.
Well, Rutgers shot, what were the stats? We have the box score here. Rutgers shot 39.5 from the floor last time out, and they shot less than 50% from the foul line last time out and still won by 14 points. If Rutgers plays well, Rutgers should win this ball game quite easily, I think.
All right, the starting lineups are being announced, and let's go down to the floor.
Here at the Rutgers University Athletic Center, Roger Cohen and Lou Brogno for Channel 6. We're getting ready to start in about 1 minute or so the second half of a basketball game between the Lady Knights of Rutgers and the Lady Owls of Temple. Rutgers on top 36-26, and Lou Brogno, it hasn't been a very pretty sight, despite the fact that, at least for Rutgers fans, Rutgers on top by 10. Rutgers has been on top by as many as 12 points. The shooting, we do not have the statistics yet. We expect them shortly. The shooting has not been very, very good, and Temple has not shown us very, very much at all. It's a young club, and I think we decided at halftime that we could say they have a lot of raw talent, but it needs an awful lot of developing.
Well, Temple comes down the court on a fast break. They throw up these shots. They're not even looking at the basket. They don't set up at all. They have no continuity on offense. They have a lot of raw talent, but they just have not put it together, at least not in this game. We haven't seen it yet. Yet, they're only down by 10 points. That's a key factor.
They've shown us a lot of hustle, and we've seen that point and the fact and also their poor shooting in the fact that at one point they had 6 shots at the hoop and missed them. 6 consecutive shots, mind you. 1 trip down the floor, and another time they had 5 consecutive shots at the basket and missed all 5 of those. However, they did get 5 offensive rebounds one time and 4 offensive rebounds the other time. So they certainly do a decent job off the boards. The Rutgers women were out on the floor with a full 8.5 minutes to go during halftime, and I have never seen a men's or a women's team come out that early before. They usually wait till 2.5 or 3 minutes or so at the most. This Rutgers team was practicing for a full 8.5 minutes. Teresa Shank-Rentz, you said tonight have only said 3 words to them. I'm sure they were very, very choice if they were that selective. I look for Rutgers to play a much more disciplined ball game, a much more patient game, and try to keep on going inside of Chris Daly and Terry Joyner, because when they did that and when they concentrated on doing that, they did look pretty good at it.